Welcome to Unit 4.8. In this particular unit, we're going to learn about the SUMIFS, COUNTIFS, and AVERAGEIFS function. Unfortunately, sometimes data is not always in a format that allows you to pivot. Sometimes you've got to fix the data up so much that it's not worth doing a pivot. So instead, you would use the SUM and COUNTIF and AVERAGEIFS function. It would always be my choice to do a pivot table, but if you couldn't, then you would use these functions. So let's have a look. Over here, we are wanting to know the total sales amount by the region and by the product. And so we have two conditions here. So you may notice when you say SUMIF, there's an if and an ifs with an S. SUMIF only allows one condition, and the one with the S allows multiple conditions. I just always use the second one. So let's go SUMIFS, and let's click on the insert function option here. Now, the first thing it's asking for is the sum range. The word sum always implies that there's going to be figures in it. And so where are the values that I want to add up? Also, it says range, so I know it's more than one cell. So let's click on the whole of column D. Again, I select the whole column. And the reason for this is that if I add records at the bottom, it will automatically update my formula. Criteria range, again, range implying more than one column. Now, my first criteria is south. So where is the range where south would be found? In column E. So let's click on the E. Then it asks for criteria. There is no range in here, so it's looking for a single cell. So over here, my criteria would be south. Then my second criteria range would be, where do I find all the products? In the product column. And my criteria is produce. And so that's giving me 4692. And that's the total number of sales for the south region that are produce. Let's make a change and change it to north. And that would be for that. And let's put beverage in there. There's nothing for beverage in north. Okay, let's put produce there. And that's your SUMIF function. I've mixed them up here, so we're going to go SUMIF here and COUNTIF over here. Over here, we're looking for the amount of sales, how many sales. So I know immediately that's going to be a count. Let's put amount there. Equals COUNTIFS. Again, you can click on insert function. Okay, the first thing it's asking is for criteria range 1. And so my first criteria is north. So where's the range it will be found in? In column E. And my criteria would be, notice there's no sum range this time because you're not working with values. Criteria 1 would be north. Then my criteria range 2, I'm looking at the products, so my range would be in column C, and my criteria 2 would be produce. And it's telling me, let's decrease the decimal, that there were 2 sales for produce in the north region. Lastly, let's do the AVERAGEIFS. So this works almost identical to SUMIFS, except you're not using sum, you're using average. Where is the average range? And obviously, using average would be working with values. So again, just like SUMIF, it's going to be column D. Let's go to our insert function. Okay, so that's my average range. My criteria range, well, in the beginning I'm looking for my regions, and our regions are found in column E. Criteria, which we know is going to be a single cell, is going to be west. My criteria range 2, what am I looking for? Produce, which is going to be in my products column, and my criteria would be produce. And that's going to give me an average sales amount for the west region produce. Those are the SUMIFS, AVERAGEIFS, and COUNTIFS. If you were to be doing just one, it's a little bit, it's more confusing actually. So if I go SUMIF, this one works a little bit differently. You'll see sum range here. So instead of starting with the sum range, it comes last over there. So our range would be Devalio. So our range would be the salespeople. My criteria would be Devalio. And my sum range implies that there's values there, would be my sales amount. And that one has only got one single criteria. As you can see, I didn't have to keep Devalio constant with my dollar signs because I needed it to shift down to Buchanan and Smith. These two over here, these four over here, let's try these. SUMIF. My range, where are my regions found? In column E. My criteria would be north. And my sum range would be column D. And there's all my sales for East. Please notice how I always put the tables on the right-hand side and not underneath it. And the reason for that is it allows me to select the whole column. Whereas if I had these lookup tables underneath my database, it would then start reading north as a record as well. So I generally have my database, and then on the side, or even in another sheet, I would have my lookup tables. So that's your count, sum, and average if.